plaintiff, David Uba, was married to the defendant's mother, and he admits that he and her mother both became addicted to meth after his other daughter was born. David claims he's been clean now for 5 years, and he's suing his stepdaughter for the balance due on a loan. Defendant Alicia Castro says David was an excellent father until she turned 13 and the drug abuse started. Alicia claims at that point she was put into the foster care system, and her life was never quite the same.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Start with you.
So, Your Honor, Alicia's actually my stepdaughter, but she's pretty much my daughter. I met her mom when she was 1. She moved in with me before she turned 2. There was a time when Alicia wasn't there when she first moved in, and I asked her mom at the time, "Where's Alicia?" And she said, she doesn't even know this, that her mom wouldn't give her to her. So I told her, let's just go get her. She's your daughter. So we got in the car. We drove over there. She got her daughter. We got her back, and she's been living with us ever since.
Good. How was her childhood? Was she a good student?
The childhood was great.
How?
She works hard. She always gets a good job. She always does her thing. The one thing she doesn't do well is pay her bills on time and that sort. I worked hard my whole life. When I decided I wanted my own baby, I married her mom. We got married, and we had the baby. She had postpartum real bad. I didn't know who she was anymore. I'd come home, there'd be nobody watching my daughter. She'd be asleep, or she'd be out back, or she'd be visiting with friends.
That's one of the effects of postpartum?
Yeah, and
neglect of
the kids were actually a lot of times watching my daughter. Yeah, it was scary bad. I didn't know who she was. Okay. So then, after the postpartum began, she started doing drugs, cocaine and meth. And so I tried to get her help. I tried to do everything I could, but I realized she wasn't going to quit. So I don't know, I just joined her. I figured if she's going to do it, I might as well do it with her. One of the dumbest moves in my life, but I did.
Had you seen it destroy her yet?
Oh yeah.
By that time?
Oh yeah.
Now I can understand if you didn't see it destroy somebody and all you see is her living in a euphoria for half of the day and no life effects, no after effects that it hurts their life. So for 2 weeks you're seeing her jolly and everything is fine. Then okay, well let me take a hit of that. Don't seem like it did anything wrong to me. She's happy all the time.
Yeah.
But after you see it destroy her, you say, let me get destroyed?
No, that was before she destroyed. So I joined in before I saw it was
on the good times.
Right.
You joined in on the good end.
And then I realized that, this stuff ain't easy to quit. I got full custody of my daughter. I would quit and I'd do real well for a while. And then somebody would pop up and I'd be able to get it again. And so I'd do it again. Probably on and off. Well, probably more on than off, but I worked all the time.
How many years?
For probably 10 years.
Okay, and you lost your family? What happened?
I was a working user. So I didn't think I had a problem because I worked every day. I owned my own business. Everything went well with work because I would never do it at work. And so once I was arguing with my daughter, because you always argue with everyone because you don't sleep enough, she called me a meth head. And that day, something snapped in my head and I quit.
I am. Huh?
This was 5 years ago. And from that day I quit. I haven't done it since, which is the best thing for me. My mind is clear, although I'm getting older, so it still gets foggy.
Okay, so it was her saying that, your child saying that to stop you from using meth, her saying.
Yeah, that's what.
Nothing else would have stopped you.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that was a wake up right there. That day when we were arguing, was an eye opener. It really was.
All right. So how did things go from there?
So things were good, were very good. I mean,
Good.
It was,
Now let me allow her to give some background, and then we'll
Okay.
get back. Yes.
So, honestly, I had a great childhood.
Good.
One of the better ones. We never really went without. My dad was a provider. He was a great role model. He worked, he's the hardest working man that I know. Worked every single day from dusk till dawn, never complained, and always made sure we had. So, life was good. Life was great until it wasn't so good.
What happened?
And that's when I was about 13. That's when the drug abuse with him and my mom started. We unfortunately had living conditions that were not fit for children. No running water.
As a result of the drug use.
Yes.
After they became drug addicts.
Yes. No running water, no food, no
Where'd you all
electricity.
live?
We
City or town?
in Centennial,
Colorado.
Colorado. Sorry. Yes.
Okay.
So a new home that he had built, paid for, was not being taken care of. So
No
of
running
course,
water.
No.
I would just like to state that I actually moved out of the house. I moved out, and I actually gave her money to pay bills, but she never paid them.
Where'd you move? The doghouse?
No, I moved into an apartment because that's when I decided we needed to get
So you
divorced.
leave them and you get a fancy high rise.
I had no idea it was like that, Your Honor. If I had,
You weren't coming over?
I wasn't allowed because of domestic violence charges that were put on me
Got
by
it.
her mom.
Okay. Where'd you move? The doghouse?
No, I moved into an apartment because that's when I decided we needed to get
So you
divorced.
leave them and you get a fancy high rise.
I had no idea it was like that, Your Honor. If I had,
You weren't coming over?
I wasn't allowed because of domestic violence charges that were put on me by her mom.
Okay.
Plaintiff David Uba is suing his stepdaughter, who says she was 13 when David and her mother became addicted to meth, and as a result, she was put in the foster care system.
Go ahead.
So, of course, at that point, the state stepped in. We were put in foster care. And to be honest, Your Honor, I was upset at my dad because this is the man who had raised me my entire life, but not the man who stepped up to say, you know what, that's my daughter. She deserves to come home with me. So I was lucky enough to only be in foster care for a few months, and I was adopted by my aunt, by family, but it still wasn't the same.
Correct.
And unfortunately, not having a mom or a dad, I unfortunately looked for love in a lot of the wrong places where I felt like I needed my dad. I started going down a path where I used promiscuity to deal with things that I could not deal with, that I didn't want to deal with. And I was angry. And my saving grace was having to forgive him on my own terms, because I was holding on to so much anger and resentment. I was just going nowhere in life. I wasn't making good choices. I wasn't hanging out with good people. I wasn't really living up to my potential at all. And I just wanted to address him, Your Honor, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
I want you to know that I forgive you for not being there when I felt like I needed you. Watching how hard you and my mom had struggled, I get why you didn't. And, I don't need to know the reason why you never let me come home with you, but just know that I do forgive you. And I did forgive you. Because honestly, I feel like I turned out pretty good.
Thank you.
Considering everything. And, I'm proud of you for how far you've come and everything that you've had to go through. So thank you for still continuing to be a father to me, and be an even better grandfather to my daughter. But I do forgive you.
So I had no idea you were put in the foster system. My concern was getting Valerie, my daughter, and they never told me anything about Alicia. I thought she just went to her aunt's because that's where she ended up.
Right.
I had no clue. And I'm very sorry for that. And I could see where that would hurt you because I was there all the time I was there until that happened. And I'm sorry about that. That's terrible.
How's your mom?
Once she fell, she kind of never
recovered.
Got back up. She was in and out of jail and was more so of, I promise this time I'm going to get it together. You're going to come home. And
what's the status now?
I don't have a good relationship with her. I haven't probably for the past 17 years of my life. She kind of comes in and out. She's still not in a good place. So it's just better. I now know that I have to separate myself from her, even though it's hard. You know, she's my mom.
Why do you say that? Why do you feel you have to separate yourself rather than kind of deal with her at a long handle spoon? In other words, still deal with her, but protect yourself and protect your emotions. Because I got folks like that. And, I just have to protect myself from them, but I still deal with them. I even help them. But you have to protect yourself. I got one close relative, about every year, once a year, he says outrageous stuff to me, and it's typically because I won't give him what he's asking for. And it's really outrageous things that would otherwise provoke violence. That type of outrageous stuff, interfamily type stuff,
right.
Reviving bad memories and just hidden way below the belt. But he did have value to my life, and I've known him all my life, so just deal with him. You know what happened this week? Some old nonsense. And we went back and forth, just some nonsense. And we started hitting below the belt. So I took that last shot and I blocked him. And I'm probably not going to talk to him for a year, I swear. One time he hit so low, he talked about something about my mother, something very, 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 very sensitive. Because, he's known my mother all his life, and something happened to my mother, and he threw that up. And I didn't talk to him for 2 years. Yeah. And so look into that as a choice, as opposed to just cutting them off entirely. We don't want that void. But just protect yourself. You got folks who are mentally ill, and they go off on you or they do whatever the case, and their pattern, just protect yourself from them.
Right.
No, I ain't going nowhere with you. You're all right, we can do this or we can do that. Yeah. I ain't going nowhere with you. You can get me caught up in that mess. You got me?
Yeah.
Just figure out how to avoid her actions troubling you and deal with it from that standpoint.
Right.
And I don't know how often that might not be, but once every 3 months, once every 6 months, once a year, you might have to go without talking to her for 1 year if she goes too low or you go too low. But at this age in her life, who knows how long you might want to delay that relationship. Consider all that.
Right. And I've, over the years I've tried, and it's probably similar to your situation where we try to have a relationship and then it just goes bad. But I think why I struggle with her is she's never admitted all this time that she ever used, that she has a problem. So she is.
Have you asked her? I mean,
plenty of times.
And
just
she
to admit it.
Denied that she ever got
17 years. 17 years.
But that's something to laugh at. That isn't even something to be upset about. I mean, really. That's something to laugh at. Yeah, all right, Mom. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness. So that's what I'm saying. Develop coping mechanisms. That's what I guess is the best way to put it. Develop coping mechanisms as opposed to having that void in your life. So I love my loved ones, some of them, but some of them I have to love them from a distance, from time to time. And then I love them close up from time to time. I might love you close up for 6 months, and then when you do wrong by me, I'm going to love you from afar for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
So just consider that. You know what happened this week? Some more nonsense. And we started hitting below the belt. So I took that last shot and I blocked him. And probably not going to talk to her for a year, I swear.
Plaintiff David Uba is suing his stepdaughter, who says she was 13 when David and her mother became addicted to meth, and as a result, she was put in the foster care system.
And I put another suggestion up. I always ask people this when they have relatives that they want to disassociate themselves from. Right. But in terms of forgiveness, I always ask this question. So I'm going to ask you. I love what I just heard you say to your dad. I don't know if you're ready to say that to your mom. Are you ready to tell her you forgive her?
I have,
Oh,
but
good.
even then she feels she has nothing to be forgiven for.
Yeah, she's nuts. So just deal with it from that. So just deal with it from that perspective, from that standpoint. But I always ask, because people, I hate my mother, I'm not going to forgive my mother. I hate my brother, I'm not going to forgive my brother. I hate my sister, I'm not going to forgive them. I always say, have you ever forgiven a friend that did you wrong from first grade up until however old you are now? And inevitably, if the answer is yes.
Yes.
You've forgiven friends, you've forgiven people at school, you've forgiven these folks that have talked about you, bullied you, slandered you, defamed you. Now, how could you not forgive a person who gave birth to you? So that's what I always ask people to keep in mind too. If you can forgive anyone, it should be the people closest to you that you're able to forgive. All right, so I hope that gives you a little food for thought, and those watching, give them some food for thought on relationships. So there's that. Now about this loan you're suing your daughter for, what happened here? $3,690.
So on July 31st of 2020, you see in the evidence thing, I transferred money to pay $5,250. The agreement was in 1 year she'd have it paid off. So if you look on page 2, you see the breakdown of the payments that she did make, and then came up to...
What was the payment deadline?
The end of last month.
Of this year?
Yeah.
Like a few days ago?
Yeah.
You just want to be on TV. I want to bring your daughter in here a few days after the debt is due. Go ahead. What are we going to say, young lady?
So on page 3, we did have an agreement
On yours, P.
for what I'd pay every month. So it was $200 a month until it was paid in full. Or I could work with him at the rate of $15 an hour and pay off my debt that way as well.
I mean, this is just too early, sir. Have you given her any warnings about, if you're late, I'm taking you to the Mathis?
I told her, because the payments were so inconsistent, that I was going to take her to Judge
because
Mathis.
of the inconsistency. All right, and that does give you a right, because, ma'am, if it's inconsistent payment, then one can sue even before the time has expired. They can sue for what they project to happen. And that is, there's proof that she doesn't pay on time, so I want it all now. It's called anticipatory breach of contract. You can anticipate that that person is going to break that contract with you based on, even though the contract hasn't expired, based on the history of that contract. That's what we have here. You've paid inconsistently, you've paid less than agreed to, and so I anticipate you're still going to continue to pay inconsistently, and so therefore I'm going to go to the court and I'm going to sue her and say I want all my money now before this person skips town. No, but because I anticipate they're going to breach, and I don't want to keep relying on $200 a month that I'm going to rely on to pay my car insurance that month. So every month I got to worry about whether my car insurance is going to be paid because I used that $200 on my car insurance. No, let me go ahead and get all my money from you right now. That's what's happening here. Because I probably wouldn't give, if you had been consistent, I wouldn't give him no money for no being 5-10 days late. I'd say, give her a little more time.
Right.
But in this case, you didn't keep up with your obligation. But you know what I'm going to do?
There's a plot twist, though, Your Honor.
Okay, plot twist. There you go. What's happening?
So, February of this year, Super Bowl weekend, I met up with my dad to go grab dinner and some drinks. And I will quote him because I feel confident enough to do so. Alicia, don't worry about the money. Say less, Dad, out of sight, out of mind. Wasn't worried about it after that. I mean, anybody would. You tell someone don't worry about it, you don't worry about it. So I kind of let it go after that, and that's when my payments completely stopped, was after February.
You asked her? I mean...
Plenty of times,
and
just
she
to admit it.
denied that she ever got
17 years. 17 years.
That's something to laugh at. That isn't even something to be upset about. I mean, really. That's something to laugh at. Yeah, right, Mom. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness.
Plaintiff David Uba is suing his stepdaughter, who says she was 13 when David and her mother became addicted to meth, and as a result, she was put in the foster care system.
You could have paid, but because he said don't worry about it, you decided not to pay.
Right.
You interpreted that as a waiver of the debt or forgiveness of the debt?
Yes. So I was aware that I still owed him, but when he said don't worry about it.
When did he next ask for his money?
He asked on my birthday, April 28th of this year. And that is...
You figured you got enough birthday money from your friends. That's right. That's what that was about. No offense to it being your birthday. He said, I know she'd have got at least $1,000.
And it was 30, so it was a big one.
Right. Yeah, he knew what he was doing.
And so the money I paid him was to pay for dinner, just because I know he didn't have the money for dinner. So I'm like, okay, not a problem. And then come June, he asked me again, so do you have some more money for me? I said, no, Dad, I don't have any more money for you. Why would I? You said don't worry about it. So I haven't been worried for a few months.
What did he say when you reminded him?
He said, I didn't say that.
Okay, he denied it.
Yeah, so he denied.
Did he deny it today?
Yes, Your Honor. I never said that. In February, I may have said, don't worry about February's payment. That was it.
You got 30 more days. I'm going to give you $3,690. If you don't pay in 30 days, then you can amend your lawsuit to include emotional distress because you are dependent on it, and she has agreed that she's going to make sure you have it. What?
Nothing.
All right. Now you're trying to say something, and you don't want me to act like I don't believe you at all. But I'll grant you $3,690, exactly what you're asking for, payable within 30 days.
Thank you,
if
Your
not
Honor.
paid in 30 days, bring it back and you'll even get more. All right?
you, Your
Have a
Honor.
good day. That's my judge.
I really had no idea that you went into the foster care system. I think that was the thing that broke my heart the most when they took Valerie, my daughter, put her in the foster care. Had I known that, I would have done things way different at that point. But I thought, because that's what social service told me, that you went into the care of your aunt, her mom's sister. And so I had no clue that you were actually in the foster care system. And for that, I really do apologize.
Plaintiff Darrell Cross says after serving 18 months in prison, he turned his life around and got on the straight and narrow. Darrell's suing because he claims the defendant crashed into his parked car, and he believes it was because she was driving drunk. Defendant Tatiana Davis says in this past year, she lost one cousin to domestic violence and two cousins to police brutality. Tatiana insists she was not drunk on the night of the accident, and she only hit Darrell's car because she swerved to avoid two cars who were racing.
Start with you.
All right. Never thought I'd be here, but here I am, well, when I got out of high school, I started driving cab. I drove cab for a good while. Easy way of making money. I like to ride around and stuff. Met a lot of the wrong people, good people, some bad. I ended up in going to prison for theft by fraud.
You wanted the bad. So you and bad people were riding together, two bad people.
Yeah, you can say that. You can say that.
I'm just messing with you.
I know.
How much time did you do?
I done 18 months on 4 years.
Okay.
So after I got out, I didn't learn my lesson. So I was riding my car this particular day on my own time. And I had 2 different license plates on the car. And police got behind me, and I didn't stop. I just kept going till I lost them. And they told me when they caught me.
Why you do that? Why you do that? And you were an ex-felon already. Why you run from the police?
Because I was drinking and all that kind of stuff already.
Yeah. How did that work out?
It got me 12 months for fleeing, because I didn't know fleeing was a felony at that particular time. It was a misdemeanor before that. So they gave me a work release in a pre-release center. So I just finally changed my ways, and I stuck to working. And I've been working like warehouse, shipping and receiving, basically all my life, till about 2017, when a fork truck hit my leg and disconnected my foot from my ankle. So after I got out, I had to learn how to walk again. So after that, my spare time, started buying a couple cars. I got a couple Cadillacs, and I got a Lincoln, which is what I'm here for now.
Plaintiff Darryl Cross is suing the defendant because she hit his parked car, and he believes it was because she was driving drunk.
Well, let me allow her to get some background before we get into the specifics of the day's case.
All right.
Ma'am?
Hi. So this year has not been a good year for me. It's been a rough year. The beginning of the year, I lost my cousin by the name of Dante Wright. You may have heard of him. The young man that was killed, the lady said that she meant to grab her taser. And then a couple months after that, in June, I ended up losing another cousin due to domestic violence. And then August the 26th, actually, I buried another cousin that was killed in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, by police brutality as well. And that's actually the day that everything happened.
What's that cousin's name?
His name is, we called him Baldy.
Did it make national media?
He didn't make national media, but he did make the news. So I don't think it was national.
Another bad police officer, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you got so many bad ones, make them all look bad, but all of them aren't bad. But with that Dante Wright situation where, and the only, I guess, if there is any satisfaction out of it is the sense of justice. She was convicted, that officer, with manslaughter.
Right.
Because they determined it's pretty hard to mistake your taser for a gun.
And you've been on the force for...
Right. Tasers are pretty big. Guns are like that. So, nonetheless, I don't know. So at least we have some accountability there.
Right.
Sorry to hear. But how about your other cousin that was killed by the police? Was the officer arrested?
No,
police
sir.
pending something?
No, sir. There's nothing that I know of. The officer still out here on the force.
I'm sure there had to be an investigation.
It's crazy because I'm not sure if anything. I feel like something is being covered up, honestly. There's nothing that's, being said about anything at the moment. So I feel like there's something they're trying to cover up right now.
And I know I can hear some of you all thinking right now, well, they're killing each other more. And how about them killing each other? That's two different subjects. They're not killing each other over race. When law enforcement kills a citizen, is a lot different from one citizen killing another citizen. That's a big difference. And just to educate a little more, stop saying that all lives matter as a response to Black Lives Matter.
Right.
You can say that later at another time, but don't try and contrast that with Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is a slogan that is specifically directed toward the killing of unarmed citizens by police officers. That's what the Black Lives Matter slogan comes from. And when you try and add another slogan, when you try and bring some in on that, then you're talking about something different.
Right.
So let's keep that what we're talking about.
Right.
Certainly, yes. Let's talk about all lives matter in another conversation.
Right.
But those are two different things. So moving along, but you brought up something that gave us the opportunity to really give you a little comfort in your loss. It's just not about public opinion and about state and federal laws.
Right.
It's also about your personal
Right.
loss.
Right.
So part of what we're doing today is trying to give you some comfort that your cousin, Dante Wright, who the officer was held accountable for his killing,
Right.
he is also one of the motivations for the movement toward police reform.
Right.
And so that is something you should take pride in, quite frankly. If you were killed by a police officer and that police officer was held accountable, then that means the police officer did something wrong. Then you're a martyr for the cause of going after bad police officers. And 90% are good.
Right.
In terms of police killings. I can't tell you the percentage in terms of corruption. I don't know who taking dope money, who not. I can't tell you that. I do tell you I was a judge in Detroit. All I can tell you, and I have an opinion based on my sitting there as a judge on my direct experience. But I'm going to leave that alone because I love Detroit and they love me.
Plaintiff Darryl Cross is suing the defendant because she hit his parked car, and he believes it was because she was driving drunk.
What else you want to tell me? Anything about yourself?
I have a 7-year-old boy. After the accident, it's been, it was hard. I was let go of my job due to the fact that I had to sit around and heal.
Accident involving this case?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let me allow him to tell me what happened.
Okay.
Sir?
Well, yeah, on August 26th, yeah, me and my friend, we was watching the movie, and all of a sudden I heard a big bang because I got 2 cars sitting out there. And I look out the window and I say, oh, no. Somebody done hit my Lincoln. So I go out to, come on, we got to go outside. So I go out there. By the time I get out there, some more people, they done came out. And they said, she must be drunk, man. She's drunk or something. Because I get out there and this young lady here is hollering, oh, I work so hard for this car. Y'all know how hard I work for that car and stuff. And I'm like I really care. But
that's not nice.
I
should have cared.
So
you're suing this woman for $700 worth of damage. So it couldn't have been that much when you looked at it. You could looked at it and said, oh, that ain't bad. And then the woman saying that, you should have went over to her and confident. Don't worry about it, baby. Don't worry about it. I didn't really
everybody
care.
telling me she smelled like alcohol and she jumping up and down. She ain't got no business driving.
True.
So I said, well, I said, that's my car you hit. So she stopped for a minute, and I was caught myself walking up to her. And she said, well, I'm sorry about you hitting your car. And I said, okay, by this time, the police, he going to intervene. He said, so that's your car? And I said, yes, I need some information from you. He told me to bag up off her. So I couldn't really get no whip of the alcohol, but the way she was acting, I'm just going along with what everybody else said that got close to her.
So the police came to the scene?
Yeah, the police came to the scene.
Someone called them?
Yeah, somebody did. I didn't call them. I didn't call them. And the ambulance came. They got the young lady. They strapped her down in the ambulance. So I couldn't get any information from her except off of the report. And
it was parked.
My car was parked, Your Honor. If you look at pages 14 and 12, the before and the after, I tried to take the pictures the best I could.
This your car?
Yeah.
This is a stretch Cadillac, right?
Oh, the Cadillac? I'm talking about the Lincoln. You talking about the Cadillac? Yeah, that's a...
You got too many cars, Doc.
That's the XTS.
Big, long 4-door, late model. Ma'am, you tell me what happened.
Okay, so I want to start by saying there was no alcohol. I know the people that would call the police and they came to make sure I was okay, they had cans of beer in their hand. I can say that. That's the day, actually, the 26th of August. I buried my cousin Barley that day. And I was coming from the reception, basically, after the funeral, all the family get together and we hang out. And I was coming from there and I was on my way home. There was 2 cars racing. So they were coming towards me. One was in my lane and the other one was in the other lane. So I swerved, to try to dodge those cars and ended up actually hitting a parked car, which was Daryl's vehicle. And like he said, we never got the chance to communicate, but the police did show up. I went to the hospital and
the ambulance came and transported you, obviously?
Yes, and I was there for about 5 to 7 hours, I can say. They actually told me, because back in December of last year, I dislocated my meniscus in my leg. So after the accident, I messed up my leg again, my knee again, and then I also pulled muscles in my neck and in my back. So I was on bed rest for like 2 to 3 weeks. They actually wanted me to go to therapy for my knee and everything.
Yeah. You didn't?
Actually, I did not.
Okay.
I did not go to therapy for my knee. I just sat around and let it heal on its own. I walked around as much as possible to get it back to,
It still hurt, doesn't it?
It doesn't. It doesn't. That's the best part. It's good.
You're not a good influence. I had back surgery last year. I've been too scared to go into physical therapy because of the COVID, and so I'm just walking around without therapy on back surgery, and mine still ain't quite right. I thought you were about to say, yeah, I'm still hurting, and it got better, though, when I took therapy, but
no,
yours got better and you didn't go to therapy.
I didn't.
You're a
I
bad
walked
influence.
around.
Tell Stacy to cancel my therapy appointment. Cancel my appointment. She didn't go, I don't have to go. She feel better, I'm going to feel better. This might take longer.
Plaintiff Daryl Cross is suing the defendant because she hit his parked car, and he believes it was because she was driving drunk.
Tell me about what you believe to be the issue of you paying.
Well, I believe there is no issue of me paying.
No, you don't.
I have. Although I feel like the 2 drivers that was racing, they're more accountable than I am because I was dodging those cars. I feel like I am wrong because I did his vehicle steal at the end of the day. Good. So there is no problem with me paying. There has never been a problem with me paying. Daryl and I have communicated since the accident, actually. And I also always told Daryl, about everything that was going on, about the living situation, the vehicle, how hard it is to get to and from work, being let go. And then actually after that, my son ended up catching COVID. So he had to quarantine for 2 weeks, meaning it made it worse. That's the reason. That's the actual reason I got fired. 2 weeks from healing, then 2 weeks from COVID. So they ended up letting me go. But I was communicating with Daryl. I was explaining everything to him. I'll get back to him. I wouldn't make a big deal out of it because I was wrong. I hit his vehicle,
What do you say?
She never called me back.
Well, she's saying the right things today.
Oh, okay.
She agreed that she owes you. And in that regard, I'm going to grant you judgment, but I will say this because I know you're struggling, but you are so honest about this. These are the type of litigants we want. And I'm going to recommend we pay the judgment.
Thank you. Thank you.
Judgment for the plaintiff, and
all right.
You'll get your money.
All right, I ain't mad.
All right, have a good day.
I ain't mad. Tatiana, I'm sorry about your trouble, what's going on in the bad year you having. But I don't know. I didn't know all that at the time. I was just thinking about me, so.
I feel like, honestly, you didn't care. You don't care, honestly. But that's okay, I understand it's your car, but I feel like we didn't have to come bring it this far. We talked on the regular, whether I called you back or didn't. We talked on the regular. I did answer for you. I didn't have to answer. I could have changed my number. But I am here. And, I was going to do what was needs to be done. But thank God for Judge Mathis because now he's going to do it for me.
Yeah, thank God for Judge Mathis.